Hey guys, how's it going? So the Galaxy S20 FE 5G is the cheapest smartphone with a 3x optical zoom, also with OIS. This optical zoom makes the camera system very versatile, especially when you go on trips and you want to shoot something slightly far away without losing quality. Their 70 to 75mm focal length also gives the images a nice look with the background compression and is very great for portraits as well. However, there is a problem with the way Samsung uses the 3x optical zoom, as I'm demonstrating here. Notice when I select the 3x zoom and I place a finger covering the 3x zoom lens, the camera automatically switches to the 1x lens and crops in. See again, this is a major problem because this results in very inconsistent images from the 3x zoom. You never know when the camera app has actually switched to the main camera and cropping in, instead of actually using the zoom lens. This happens both for images and videos. It depends so much on the lighting and is very unpredictable. So when the camera app uses the main sensor and crops in, the results look very bad. I'll show you in a moment. Also, the S20 FE 5G has no option to shoot portrait mode images using the 3x optical zoom. So all this can be easily resolved by using Gcam Mod. With Gcam Mod, not only will you be able to shoot awesome looking portraits using 3x optical zoom, but you'll also be able to force use the 3x zoom in every condition, whether bright or low light. I'll show you a comparison between low light 3x images from the stock camera and the Gcam Mod in a moment. But let's first install the Gcam Mod and set it up. So download both the Gcam Mod APK and the XML config file from the link in the description. Then install the APK. Then launch Gcam Mod and give the usual permissions. Now you can already use the main sensor to take images, but the 3x zoom is still unusable as it has not been configured yet. So double tap between the camera shutter and the selfie button and you will expose a file browser. So just go into downloads folder and select the config file. That's it, you're done. You can configure the Gcam Mod further. I normally enable auto night mode, HDR plus control, and you can enable raw copies if you wish and enable or disable video stabilization. That's it. Now that Gcam Mod is set up, you can switch between all the lenses and just click photos to your heart's content. Now one thing that I want to say is that I find stock camera to be absolutely fine for videos and photos from the main camera and the ultrawide camera. So I only use Gcam Mod for using the 3x zoom, whether it's portraits, 3x low light images or videos. Alright, now let's take a look at the images. So here we are at the desktop and we are going to open the images in Lightroom Classic to show you the quality. And let's start with portrait mode. Now I don't have too many portrait mode samples. These are 3x optical zoom portrait modes, and let's take a look at it quickly, right? So starting with the first one, is just a casual picture of my father that I took. It's pretty low light. It was indoor conditions, and it is taken using Gcam Mod 3x optical zoom portrait. So if you just zoom it a little bit, you can see that it has got plenty of details. It is highly detailed. Edge reduction is quite good. There is some mistake at the bottom of the picture over here. But otherwise, the blur in the background is very natural and there is plenty of details. So this is what it looks like. This is a 3x optical zoom portrait, and you can see how good it looks because there is so much compression with the 75mm lens. That's why the image looks so good. Like the subject pops out of the image, and that's the benefit of shooting portrait mode images using the 3x zoom. So that was the first image. Next, we have a couple of self-portraits that I've somehow managed to take myself by keeping the phone at a distance. And you can see again, there's plenty of details, guys. There's a lot of details in the image. It's a little bit over-sharpened in my opinion, obviously. But come on, it's just an 8-megapixel sensor. So there has to be some sort of little bit of over-sharpening that makes the image a little bit crisp. I wish the over-sharpening could have been reduced a little bit. But otherwise the image has beautiful separation, has got beautiful blur in the background. The edge reduction, you can see, like just look at this. There's a tiny bit of thread on my t-shirt over here, and that has also been separated nicely. So you can see very clean edges, and it looks really good. 3x optical zoom portraits with Gcam Mod, looking awesome. Next, you have another image, just turning back a little bit to challenge the edge detection a little bit more. So you can see again, edge detection is quite good. Lots of detail on the face. Even here on my goatee, little bit of a goatee over here, you can see there is nice edge separation, clean edge separation, no mistake with the edge, and again plenty of detail and very nice separation. All right, so let's start with the night mode comparisons for 3x optical zoom images. On the right side, we have the Google Camera Mod image, and on the left side, we have the Samsung stock camera image. All right, so right off the bat, you can see that on the right side, there's a lot more detail versus on the left. And the reason is, you can see when I click on the right side image, right, you can see on the metadata over here, f2.4. So f2.4 is the aperture of the 3x optical zoom. Whereas when I click on the left image, you can see the exposure metadata over here shows f1.8 and a different focal length. So that's the reason, guys. That's the reason the left side photo is very soft. It's actually using the 1x main camera and then cropping it and then reducing noise, and that's the reason it has no details. I'm not talking about Samsung processing over here, guys, because Samsung's processing for regular photos in wide, ultra wide, even when using the 3x optical zoom in night mode is very good. I'll show you the good examples, they're coming. But when Samsung doesn't decide to use the 3x optical zoom, instead uses the main camera and crops in, that's where you see this type of difference. You can clearly see the right side image has so much more detail. You can see individual hair on the right side, whereas there's nothing on the left. uh, that's the reason, guys. On the right, we have actually forcefully used the 3x optical zoom, whereas on the left it has not used the 3x optical zoom. Instead, it has used the main camera sensor and then cropped in. That's the reason it is very soft. Okay, moving on to the next one. So as I said, you guys, I'll show you good examples as well. So on the right, on this set of images, both have used the 3x optical zoom. Obviously with the pixel you can forcefully use it, but on the left side, since there was some light at the middle of the image, right, there was some brightness in the middle of the image, and that's why Samsung decided to actually use the 3x optical zoom in night mode. And as a result, when I zoom in, you can see that both the images are actually quite detailed. You can see the leaves on the right, you can see the person over here, it's highly detailed over here. There's a little bit of more exposure on the right image of the Google camera picture, but otherwise, yeah, you can see there is similar level of details. On some part of the image, you can see the Google camera has more details, whereas in other parts of the image there is more detail on the stock camera. Overall, I do like the processing of the Gcam Mod more in this picture, just because it is less over sharpened and it's a little bit more natural. But otherwise, you can see even with stock camera, you can get good night mode images with 3x optical zoom. Uh, but it only happens when it actually uses a 3x optical zoom. Okay, moving on to the next image. All right, back to the bad examples. So over here, you can see again that on the right side, we have the Google Camera Mod picture. You can see from the metadata over 2.4, and on the left, we have the f1.8 picture with the stock camera. And you can see again, there is a huge difference in terms of detail. Yes, the night mode image of the Gcam Mod is noisy, but that's expected because it's a smaller sensor. But even then, if you look at the actual details, you can see there is such a big difference in terms of detail. The left side image with the stock camera is over sharpened, blurry. There is no detail in it. It looks like a oil painting over here. Whereas on the right, with the Google Camera Mod, you can see very sharp. The details are still there, and it's very natural. It's not over sharpened. You can see there's so much detail on the shrubs over here. You can see over here in the the all the waste over here, all the concrete and all, the sand. It's much more detailed. The leaves over here is so much more detailed. Same with this tree over here. So as you saw, guys, Samsung is not choosing to use the 3x optical zoom in real world, and that's the reason the images is very soft. There is no detail. Again, same thing repeats on the next image as well. You can see uh, there is no competition. There is no details in the Samsung stock camera app because it is using the main camera and cropping it. It's all mushy. It looks pasty. It looks watercolor like. Whereas on the right, you can make out the individual leaves in this area. It's more noisy again, but with more noise again, you're getting more details. So I would choose details over noise any day of the week. You can see there is far more details in the shrubs over here. It's not over sharpened. There is actual details, and it looks so natural. So again, the same situation, the next image as well. This was a fairly bright scenario. I thought Samsung will actually use the 3x optical zoom. Instead, it didn't use it. So since it didn't use the optical zoom, you can see again it's over sharpened mess. It's using the main camera, cropping in and then sharpening it, and that's the result. It looks very bad. You can see the details on the right is so much more. It is so much more natural looking. You can see the tree bark over here. Yeah, there is no contest. Now we come back to another positive example with stock camera. So here again there was a little bit of light in the middle of the focusing point, and that's why Samsung also decided to use the 3x optical zoom. If we zoom in, you can see that both the images yet again have quite a lot of details. I feel the Gcam mod has slightly more details. It is slightly less sharpened, and but still the overall image, it looks good on both. Samsung one has little to no noise. It has no noise at all, whereas the Gcam mod has decided to keep some noise and keep some natural details, whereas Samsung shot is like more noise reduced and slightly lacking in detail, slightly less details, but both the images are very comparable. One has more details, more noise, the other one is slightly less details but no noise at all. So here is a positive example from the stock camera with the 3x optical zoom. It has, when Samsung decides to use the 3x optical zoom, I'm repeating myself, in night mode, the images are very good. The next image is the same thing. So in this image you can see yet again the Gcam mod image has so much more color detail, and it's so much sharper. So if I zoom in, you can see the shrubs and all. It's no competition. The more complicated image you take, more details you will find with the Gcam mod. So that's because the AI is not able to predict. It's not able to resolve this type of complicated unpredictable foliage. You cannot predict, right? There is no pattern in this image. That's why the image is, it looks very bad. It looks very bad with the stock camera app, because it didn't use the 3x optical zoom. It looks very bad, whereas on the Gcam mod it looks beautiful. It looks absolutely insane with the Gcam mod. It's a small sensor, and yet at low light, using the 3x optical zoom, the images look so good. All right, so this is the last image over here. And first of all, there was no difference in white balance, guys. The right side, actually there was two lights going on in that scene. One was a white light and one was a orange light, and both were like flickering, and that's why on the left there is a reddish hue and on the right there is a greenish hue. So don't worry about the white balance difference. But again, the Gcam mod image, man, it is so much more detailed. It is insanely more detailed. That's because again it is using the 3x optical zoom, whereas the stock camera is not using the 3x optical zoom. So yeah, you can clearly see, man, there is a huge difference in details. So those were all the differences, guys. I wanted to talk about this one in this video, because yeah, 3x optical zoom images with the Gcam mod in low light or in any condition is amazing. There is not much difference between the Gcam mod and the stock camera when using the main camera and the ultra wide camera. In fact, I would say use the stock camera when you are using the main camera and the ultra wide camera. I feel the images are slightly better. But when it comes to the 3x optical zoom, you cannot compare a real 3x optical zoom image versus a fake image, versus an image which is like not shot on the 3x optical zoom. The reason I'm asking you guys to use the Gcam mod is basically because you can force use the 3x optical zoom on the Gcam mod. So that's the reason I'm recommending you to use Gcam mod. Also, you can use the night sight in low light, and you can also shoot very good looking portrait images with the Gcam mod, whether it is low light or bright light or whatever. You can shoot these amazing looking portraits with the Gcam mod in any condition. So yeah, that's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I wanted to make this video slightly shorter, but I guess this video is also now pretty long. But yeah, the links to the Gcam mod application and the config file is down in the description. Download the files, install it, and try it out yourself and tell me what you think. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please like the video and definitely subscribe to the channel. Let's reach 1000 subscribers as soon as possible. That's it. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.